What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Draft Hub. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at my picks for week 9 of the 2025 college football season. Now, last week was an abysmal week for me pick wise. It was the first time this season that I had over 20 losses in 1 week. Yes, last week I went 38 and 21 and now have an overall record of 383 and 112 so far this college football season. So I'd say still pretty good overall, but I wanted to get to like week 10 without 100 losses. But be that as it may, this year there's been a lot of upsets and a lot of the lower conference games like the MAC, the AAC, all that the group of 5 games have been pretty difficult to keep track of and try and predict. So before we get into this video, I wanted to tell you guys that if you guys enjoy videos like this, NFL videos, NFL draft videos, mock drafts, be that as it may, whatever it is, I upload all of those. Every single day you are getting an upload from me. There is no shortage of content on this end. So please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new here. The support has been unbelievable. The channel has grown like 150 subscribers over the last like 2 weeks or something like that. You guys have been amazing. At the time of recording, I'm sitting at 558 subscribers on Saturday. I'm recording this on Tuesday. On Saturday, we just hit 500. So a ton of growth over the last few days. You guys have been awesome. I love it. Let's get into it. So, of course, I am recording. You are seeing this on Thursday or after Thursday. So there are a few games on the slate here. There are 4 games on the slate that hopefully I go 4-0 in, so I don't look like a jackass when you guys eventually watch this here. But you got Kennesaw State taking on Florida International. Florida International embarrassed me last week as I said, yeah, Western Kentucky definitely has that win. And then they pretty much demolished Western Kentucky for the most part. So that was interesting. These are the types of games that I'm talking about here. But give me Kennesaw State over Florida International. They have transformed so much. Last year, their first year in FBS football, and it was not great, but the foundation was there. They had some players, and this year they're getting a ton of production from those players that they brought in last year. So I think Kennesaw State rolls again. Western Kentucky and Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech having a good season so far, no bones about it. Western Kentucky as well having a good season. I'm assuming that was a fluke loss to Florida International last week. I expect them to get right back on the horse and beat Louisiana Tech here. A difficult game, more difficult than they initially would anticipate. But yes, give me Western Kentucky over Louisiana Tech in that one. Moving on to my 2 favorite teams now in the FBS here. We have not Middle Tennessee. I'm talking about the 2 upcoming games. The debutants this year, the debutantes, if you will. You have Delaware hosting Middle Tennessee. And, Delaware is really proving to be a problem offensively for a lot of teams. They've played some really good ball. They can throw it. They can run it. I mean, they have a very, very interesting pass offense. They have an exciting offense in general. And Middle Tennessee, after I had relatively higher expectations for this Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders team this year, they've been nothing short of disappointing, to say the very least. So give me Delaware in this one. And then Missouri State at New Mexico State. New Mexico State is favored in this one here, but give me the other debutante, Missouri State, in this one. I'm telling you, ever since they got their first win against Marshall, they've looked like a different football team. It looks like they get it. Whereas Missouri State maybe hasn't had the same success overall as Delaware has, I still think that they have been a massive success so far this season. And I think they get another big victory over New Mexico State here. Moving on to the only Thursday game, we have South Alabama and Georgia State. South Alabama losing a weird one to the Arkansas State Red Wolves last week, 15-14. I firmly expect them to get back on the horse and win this one as well. Georgia State is a team that I spoke about in the preseason as a team that potentially could be a sleeper. They had one of I think it was like a top 5 transfer class in the FBS or something like that, something along those lines in terms of production. It was a ridiculous transfer class that I guess hasn't materialized up until this point. But yeah, give me South Alabama over Georgia State. Now, when moving on to Friday, we have one of the most exciting teams in the FBS in North Texas against one of the bleakest teams in the FBS in Charlotte. I'm expecting like a 60-point blowout in this one. Charlotte has no hope, in my opinion. North Texas, I would love to see North Texas ranked towards the end of the season. I think if they go like 11-1, I think we will see North Texas ranked, but I do think it will take until like the last week of the season. And they'll probably be at like 25 or 24, something like that. But I think this team is really fun. You have Cal and Virginia Tech here in this one. Yeah, I'm going to take Virginia Tech over Cal in this one. Every time I pick against California, they always wind up winning for some reason. But they're too inconsistent for me. Every time that I pick them, they wind up losing, and the offense is just really inconsistent. As exciting as it was in the first couple weeks of the season, they have come crashing back down to earth so far over the last few weeks here. And Virginia Tech, after firing Brent Pry, they've looked better. I wouldn't say that they look great, but I think Kyron Drones is back to playing good football, and I think at home at that stadium, give me Virginia Tech over a lot of teams, to be honest with you. Boise State taking on Nevada, a huge victory for Boise State over Mountain West Conference leaders UNLV. They dropped a 50-plus bomb on them this past weekend in a matchup that's probably going to represent the Mountain West Championship game when it's all said and done. Give me Boise State over Nevada in this one in a big victory. Heading over to a big noon Saturday here. Now you have UCLA taking on Indiana, and really, what team in the FBS is hotter than Indiana? Number 2 in the country is pretty unbelievable. Indiana, we're talking about here, but Kurt Signetti, Fernando Mendoza, Elijah Surratt, the defensive players that they have, Mikhail Kamara, D'Angelo Pons, all these guys, fantastic contributors. Give me Indiana over UCLA. There will be no top 10 upset here again for UCLA. Georgia Tech taking on Syracuse. Tough sledding for Syracuse after losing Steve Angeli. Give me Georgia Tech in that one. Haynes King, Jamal Haynes, unreal production from those guys. Ole Miss taking on Oklahoma. Ole Miss the last couple weeks have not looked great. Trinidad Chambliss looks like he has kind of sort of come crashing back down to earth. I think Oklahoma are still relatively embarrassed after that Texas loss. I think that they need a statement win, and I think that they get it done over Ole Miss in this one. So give me Oklahoma and that one. Virginia taking on North Carolina. North Carolina suck. I think Bill Belichick is out after this year. I'll be quite honest with you. I think he's been an absolute disaster in North Carolina so far. He should have, if he was going to make the switch to college football, he should have went to a team that actually spends NIL money and, actually like, if I was him, I would transfer to like the SEC. I would leave UNC and go to like Florida or something like that. Something that has more prestige, something that's more of a football oriented program, something that will spend money, something along those lines. I would, especially after Billy Napier got fired. So be that as it may, give me the Virginia Cavaliers over North Carolina in this one. South Florida taking on Memphis. It took how many weeks for Memphis to finally get ranked after dominating their opponents? And then they just go and lose to UAB. So give me South Florida in that one, a team that has just been so exciting this entire season. I think they're going to roll. This is a big conference game for them here. Give me South Florida over Memphis. Northwestern taking on Nebraska. Again, another team that has waited all season to get ranked and then lose to Minnesota. That's going to be Nebraska. Nebraska taking on Northwestern, who is playing some really good ball. Preston Stone is playing good ball. The defense is playing really, really well. They have Anton Saka, who's a really, really highly regarded prospect in the 2026 draft class. Give me Nebraska in this one, though. I think they need to get back on track after losing to Minnesota. And I think the offense needs to get back on track here against Northwestern. Rutgers taking on Purdue. Tough sledding the last couple of weeks for Rutgers. They lost big to Washington. They lost huge to Oregon. I think they'll get back moving in the right direction here with a win over Purdue. SMU and Wake Forest, and SMU has been one of the more difficult teams to predict so far this year, but Wake Forest is playing some pretty good ball. I think this is going to be a closer game than initially expected. They have a couple players that are going to be noise in that 2026 NFL draft. Give me Mustangs and Kevin Jennings over Damon Claiborne and Wake Forest. Kansas State taking on Kansas in this one. Again, Kansas State is just a massively disappointing team so far. I said at the beginning of the year, as long as Jalen Daniels can stay healthy, I think that Kansas is going to be up there as one of the better overall offenses in the FBS, and I think as long as he stays healthy, he is a threat to go over 300 yards, over 400 yards almost every week. So give me Kansas over Kansas State in this one. App State taking on Old Dominion. Give me Colton Joseph and the Monarchs in this one over the Mountaineers. What a disappointing loss, excuse me, for Appalachian State last week. I believe they lost to Marshall. Moving on, Kent State and Bowling Green. My God, this is just what a terrific matchup this is here. Give me the Bowling Green Falcons over the Kent State Golden Flashes in this one. A lot closer than expected. I don't think Bowling Green is really that great, to be quite honest with you. But Kent State is just so much worse. Ohio taking on Eastern Michigan. Give me Ohio in this one. Auburn taking on Arkansas. And Arkansas really has been playing some good football this year. They've been playing really good football this year, to be honest with you, with the given expectation of the SEC and what you know Arkansas have been the last few years, especially under Sam Pittman. After firing Sam Pittman, do they want to go in a different direction? They have life in this program for the first time in a few years. I think it's time to start moving in that different direction there. Auburn is a team that started off hot. They had high expectations this season, and the expectations haven't materialized. I think Arkansas actually get the job done over Auburn, especially after the showing that they gave against Texas A&M. I think Arkansas are riding somewhat of a high. They are not a rollover and die team anymore. So give me Arkansas over Auburn in this one. Akron and Buffalo. Give me the Buffalo Bulls over the Akron Zips. You have the UConn Huskies taking on Rice here. Give me the UConn Huskies in this one. Again, just a team that I think I've picked like every week except for one so far this season. Utah State taking on New Mexico. Give me Utah State, the Aggies, and Bryson Barnes did not disappoint me last week. I showed some faith in them finally. The offense has really looked great so far the last few weeks. So give me the Utah State Aggies in this one. Alabama taking on South Carolina. And I mean, Lenore Sellers is getting sold down the river by his offensive line. I think he's going to have a really difficult time against this Alabama Crimson Tide defense in this one. Give me Alabama in this one. Missouri taking on number 10 Vanderbilt. And I mean, is this the first time since like the Stone Age that Vanderbilt has been ranked inside the top 10? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I'm sorry. I think Missouri are the far better team. Way more talent. I mean, Diego Pavia is a guy that just like pulls the rabbit out of his hat every time, and I get that. But I'm trying to be real here, and I think Missouri have a much better team on both sides of the ball. They have an offensive leader in Bo Pribula. They have a defensive leader in Zion Young. I think they're going to be just fine against Vanderbilt here. BYU taking on Iowa State, and Iowa State have kind of come crashing down to earth the last few weeks here. Give me BYU. There's no reason not to pick again. There's no reason to pick against BYU right now. They're one of the hottest teams in college football. Currently, one of 6 teams left that are undefeated, and they're playing really, really good ball. You could argue that Iowa State is their most difficult opponent to this point, but I think BYU get the job done here. Bear Bachmeier, Chase Roberts, all these players are playing really, really good football. You have Illinois taking on Washington. Give me Illinois here. I think Washington, man, being at home last week against Michigan, I expected far better. Damon Williams having probably his worst performance as the starter of the Washington Huskies to this point. I think Illinois are slowly but surely still getting back on track from 2 losses to Indiana and Ohio State, but Illinois could still make a push for the playoffs because if you think about it, at the current time, the only 2 losses they have are against. Oh no, they lost. No, they beat USC. They lost to the number 1 and number 2 teams in the country. So, how many teams could say that year in and year out? So, give me Illinois. Give me the Fighting Illini over the Huskies in this one. Minnesota taking on Iowa. Give me. I think I took Iowa in this one. Let me check my notes here. I did. I took Iowa in this one here. Give me Iowa over Minnesota. That's one of those games where I feel like, I pick Iowa expecting them to score like 30 points and they wind up scoring 6 and losing like 25-6 or a weird score like that. Something along those lines. But give me Iowa over Minnesota here. Toledo traveling to Washington State. Give me Toledo in this one. I have no hope for Washington State. Washington State and Oregon State have not represented the remaining 2 teams of the Pac-12 very well so far this year. NC State and Pitt. Give me Pitt over NC State. A tough one here. I do think CJ Bailey and NC State are playing far better than initially expected so far this year, but Pitt as well, ever since making the quarterback change from Eli Holstein, I think Pitt have been playing some really, really good ball. San Diego State taking on Fresno State. Give me the Aztecs in this one. One of my favorite prospects in the 2026 NFL draft class, Chris Johnson, plays on this defense. This defense is 100% legit. And Fresno State is actually a team that I pick almost basically every single week, and they usually get the job done. But I think San Diego State and that rock solid defense are going to prevail here. UL Monroe, Louisiana Monroe here taking on Southern Miss. Give me the Golden Eagles in this one here. Southern Miss with Charles Huff have been playing some really good football so far this year, much better than last year, but that's not really saying too much. And Monroe is a team that, they've been in it basically every single week, but they just can't get the job done for the most part. Navy hosting Florida Atlantic. Again, one of those 6 or 7 teams that are left in the FBS that are undefeated. Give me Navy over Florida Atlantic in that one. Temple taking on Tulsa. Give me the Temple Owls in that one as well. Ball State taking on Northern Illinois. Give me Northern Illinois. It's been a rough start to the season. 1-6, I believe, or 1-5. Ball State is the perfect opponent to get right for this team. I don't think there's really any salvaging this season, but to salvage some jobs for sure. This is a good game. Central Michigan taking on the worst team that I have ever seen in the existence of college football. Give me the Chippewas in this one over UMass. Western Michigan traveling to Miami of Ohio. Give me the Red Hawks in this one. Again, just a super solid team and another super solid year for the Red Hawks. Oklahoma State traveling to Texas Tech. Man, what an embarrassing loss for Texas Tech last week. Really, in the midst of a season where no one looked like they were going to be able to touch Texas Tech en route to a 12-0 finish. Of course, there's always that one team that decide it's our day. But Texas Tech being inside the top 10 and then losing pretty devastating for the most part. But I expect them to bounce back against Oklahoma State. I mean, look, they're 38.5-point favorites, which is insane. Baylor taking on Cincinnati, and I think for the most part, I'm a believer in Sawyer Robertson. I am not a believer in the rest of the Baylor Bears team, especially on the defensive side. They have consistently let him down week in and week out. And Cincinnati is a team, the Bearcats are a team that I could admit got dead wrong so far this year. I thought they were going to go like 5-7 or 6-6. They're currently ranked. Brendan Sorsby, Joe Royer, these guys are playing some really, really good football. I think Cincinnati rolls over the Bears in this one. Texas taking on Mississippi State. Man, I would not be surprised if Texas gets upset in this one against Mississippi State because Texas, Arch Manning sucks. I mean, I'm sorry. You could say that he's playing injured, but don't play if you're injured. That's just a fact of it. You're just doing a disservice to yourself and the team and Steve Sarkisian. So give me Texas over Mississippi State. But I wouldn't be surprised if they got upset when it's all said and done. TCU taking on West Virginia. Give me the Horned Frogs in this one over the Mountaineers. Wisconsin taking on Oregon. I think Oregon roll right along. They roll over the hapless Badgers in this one. Give me the Ducks. You have Stanford going to Miami. Give me Miami. A brutal loss where no high-level prospect played well for the Miami Hurricanes against the Louisville Cardinals here. I think this is a perfect opponent. They need a bounce back game, a big time game for them here. Give me Miami over Stanford. Georgia Southern taking on Arkansas State. Give me Georgia Southern in this one. I don't know. This is a team that is so wishy-washy week in and week out. They win ugly games, but then they lose exciting games. I don't know about them. I like Georgia Southern. They're coming off of a victory over Georgia State last week. Give me Georgia Southern over Arkansas State. Louisiana traveling to Troy. Give me Troy in this one that I didn't expect to be really good. They're kind of on now. My Texas Aggies here taking on LSU. And man, I kind of wish LSU wasn't coming off of a loss against Vanderbilt in this one. You have to figure that LSU was probably going to be ranked inside the top 10. It would have been 3 versus like maybe 8. It would have been super, super exciting. And not to say that it's not going to be exciting, but I think A&M are clearly the much better team. And even though they are traveling to Tiger Stadium for this one, I think Texas A&M get the job done. They're just playing so well offensively, so sound defensively, minus the game against Arkansas, of course. Give me the Aggies in this one. Boston College traveling to Louisville. Louisville is a team that I was clamoring to be ranked for quite some time. Then they lost. And then, of course, they bounced back from that loss by beating the number 3 team in the country in the Miami Hurricanes last week. Give me the Louisville Cardinals over Boston College here. really let me down last week after I picked them. The only time I haven't picked UConn this entire season was when they were playing Boston College, and they reamed Boston College. So, Battle of the Michigan here. Michigan taking on Michigan State. Give me the Wolverines in this one. I don't know. 14.5 seems like a crazy line, to be honest with you. I do think that Michigan State are better on paper than they are given credit for, but Bryce Underwood looked really good last week against Washington. The running game has been phenomenal. Michigan are just rolling right along to probably a top 15 finish, I'd say, when it's all said and done. Colorado State taking on Wyoming. Give me Wyoming in this one. Colorado State absolutely sucks. They are just a team that I cannot figure out week in and week out. And I know that I'm going to talk a whole bunch of crap about them right now, and they're going to wind up winning because that's just usually how it goes. But give me the Wyoming Cowboys over Colorado State. Tennessee taking on Kentucky. Give me the Volunteers in that one. Pretty straightforward. Even though Kentucky gave Texas a run for their money, I do think that Texas is pretty bad, to say the least. Houston traveling to Arizona State. I think this is going to be a closer game than anticipated, but give me Sam Levitt and the Arizona State Sun Devils over the Houston Cougars. And finally, the last game on the slate, Colorado traveling to Utah. Give me the Utah Utes in this one over Colorado. I think that's a pretty straightforward one there. Colorado, losing so much talent in the offseason and having a brutal schedule, really, it was not going to be pretty for them this year. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There are my picks for week 9 of the college football season. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope I do see you in the next one.